in a world where trust matters. Not just trust in the news and information we receive, but trust in who gives it to us. Media outlets are coming under vicious attack, often by politicians angry about being held accountable. Donald Trump rails on and on about fake news, even though he readily dishes it out and lies on a frequent basis. In addition, we watch and consume cable, broadcast, and digital news and see the appalling lack of diversity and inclusion, which easily shows up in the stories we don't hear about, stories we know matter. Personally, it has been tough to watch TV news over the last 6 months since the cancellation of my daily morning news show. Not because I'm not interested, but because of what isn't being discussed and who isn't being heard and what is happening and how it affects not just those on Main Street, but also on MLK Street. Last week, the political world was stunned when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a 28-year-old first-time candidate, beat longtime Democratic incumbent Joe Crowley in the New York congressional primary. Her campaign was ignored by traditional media outlets who just assumed the powerful Crowley would coast to victory. That's simply media laziness and taking the public for granted. We see that all too often. We saw it last year when traditional news outlets rushed to interview black women who hit the ground hard to elect Doug Jones to the U.S. Senate in Alabama. But how many of those same outlets would have interviewed those sisters before the election? They were struggling to have their voices heard and getting their message out to raise money to fund their endeavors on the ground. Now, I talked to them on the Tom Joyner Morning Show and TV One, but here we are today, just a few months out from the midterm elections. And where will DeWanna Thompsons and Adriana Shropshires and Latasha Browns and Stephanie James and Melanie Campbells and Rosa Clementes, where will they go to raise their voices before the election? What about the awesome work being done by many of our civil rights groups like the NAACP Legal Defense Fund and Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law? We need to hear from them daily regarding the vital work they are doing to counter the shameful efforts to deny us the right to vote. They're filing critical lawsuits. Unfortunately, they don't get as much media attention. Reverend Dr. William Barber and others are picking up the mantle of Dr. King and the Poor People's Campaign, and mainstream media is essentially ignoring the massive mobilization and direct actions nationwide. Here you have a broad coalition of folks from different races and religions fighting for the people, but mainstream media doesn't care to highlight their concerns as well as the campaign. Now look, I can go on, but you get the picture. Over the last 6 months, so many of you have stopped me in airports, train stations, on the streets, in barbershops, and at numerous events to tell me you missed TV One's News One Now and what we did every morning for 4 years mattered. I've had millennials, Gen Xers, baby boomers, preachers, teachers, CEOs, entertainers, sports figures, men and women, some in tears, tell me how much they learn each day and how vital it was to start their mornings with news and information for us and by us. That's why I'm proud, excited, and humbled today to announce that on September 4th, I will launch a daily digital show that will give a voice to the voiceless and speak truth to power on the issues of the day. This is Roland Martin, Unfiltered.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now. Martin!
Pretty cool, huh? And those voices in that song may sound familiar. That is Terry Ellis and Cindy Heron of En Vogue. That song was produced by Slick, and I'm proud to have their support. Folks, Roland Martin Unfiltered will be a daily show broadcast from Washington, D.C. that will focus on news, politics, culture, entertainment, social justice, sports, education, business, and finance. If it's important to you, we'll cover it. You'll be treated to some of the top minds in education, public policy, and academia, discussing the news of the day and why it matters to us. We will also hit the road and broadcast from cities across America, holding town halls and forums to hear what the people, not just the DC pundits, have to say. You will see one-on-one interviews with authors, artists, and other top names going deep to get at what matters to us. We will also do something different. You won't just see it once a day. We will stream the show live and then restream it several times over a 24-hour period and make it available for video on demand. In addition, we will offer a video and audio podcast of the show. And we are in discussions with several TV stations across the country who want to air it in select markets. But folks, there's more. Roland Martin Unfiltered will also live stream speeches, summits, conferences, and other events to our audience. There are a number of things happening every day across America that mainstream media simply ignores. But because of today's technology, we will be able to bring you these events unfiltered. You can also expect to see and participate in these live events across the country, such as our town halls, one-on-one interviews, as well as pop-up events. My team has done this for the past 6 months as we have broadcast speeches, lectures, and rallies from all across the country, even major events such as Operations Hope Global Hope Forum, the 50th anniversary commemoration of the assassination of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in Memphis, and weekly demonstrations of the Poor People's Campaign. In July, we will broadcast live from Essence Festival in New Orleans, the NAACP National Convention in San Antonio, as well as the Jeffrey Osborne Celebrity Classic in Connecticut. Folks, this will truly be a digital experience like no other. And the great thing about Roland Martin Unfiltered, everything will be interactive. You will get to comment in real time and share your thoughts and views. And in fact, we will incorporate your videos as you talk about what is happening, the news of the day. Roland Martin Unfiltered, folks, this isn't just about me, it's also about you. This is why we want this to be powered by the people. I want to thank Lee Saunders of the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees for coming aboard as our first corporate underwriter. Their contribution has been vital to get us to this point today, and we look forward to a great partnership. And I can't wait to also share with you some of the other folks we're talking to once we finalize those deals. But when I say powered by the people, that also means you. Yes, we want you participating. This show won't require a cable subscription or be hidden behind a digital paywall. We'll initially live stream the show every day on Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube and make it available to everyone for free. You'll be able to watch it anytime on your phone, your tablet, computer, or television. This is truly a post-cable digital media show. That's why I'm also launching the hashtag Bring the Funk Fan Club, where our aim is for at least 20,000 of our supporters to contribute an average of $50 a year to ensure that we will be able to deliver the news and information you want and need that is independent. We have several funding levels for those who want to give more, and your support is vital. Now, we will have advertisers, but we have to be willing to fund our own news source if we want them to be free and independent and to speak to our issues with clarity and conviction. So right now, I want you to go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, where you can join the Bring the Funk Fan Club and become a charter member. Now, of course, we're going to have various discounts and gifts for our charter members of the Bring the Funk Fan Club, and so we want all of you to sign up. And again, I've been saying this for years, that if we want our news, we are going to have to be able to fund it. So you're looking forward to, again, discounts to merchandise and books, as well as exclusive invites to various events that we put on around the country. Plus, your name will be listed on our website as a charter member. Why must we have an independent platform like Roland Martin Unfiltered? Because that is what has gotten us through all these years in America. It was 191 years ago when the nation's first black newspaper, Freedom's Journal, wrote in their lead editorial on March 16, 1827, "We wish to plead our own cause, too long have others spoken for us." Frederick Douglass, the former slave and great abolitionist who founded the North Star newspaper, said it was, quote, "just common sense that those who suffer injustice are those who must demand redress, and thus African-American authors, editors, and orators must have their own paper with which to share their voices." It was Douglass who inspired Robert Abbott, who went on to found the Chicago Defender in 1905, a groundbreaking newspaper that battled white supremacists and segregationists and spoke on behalf of millions of black Americans and led the great migration of black folks from the South to the North. It was the great Ida B. Wells Barnett who used the power of her pen to fight against lynching, even as she faced mobs who wanted her killed. But today we're seeing fewer voices of color in radio, television, and online media, not just on the air, but also owning. Here we stand 25 years away from the nation being a majority of people of color in 2043, and we're still depending on someone else to tell our story. That, folks, can never happen. We must always be in control of our narrative. Now is the time for us to speak truth to power. Now is the time for us to control our narrative and have a voice that represents our interests and our concerns. Now is the time to fight against fake news and the folks who wish to do our community harm. I want you to go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com for more details to become a charter member of the Bring the Funk Fan Club. And beginning September 4th, let's mark a new chapter for an independent news source that, in the words of the late, great Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm, is unbought and unbossed.